Welcome to Inside Games, the only gaming news show brave enough to play Saros early, all the way in Finland. That's actually not true, Lawrence. There are other people that played there with me. It was great to see other creators playing Saros early at Housemarque.
Yeah, but they did it cowardly, and you did it bravely. I'm so excited to hear about this game. I'm a huge Housemarque fan. I think Super Stardust HD was where I woke up to how great that developer is. I've played every game that they've made since then. I loved seeing them kind of step up with Returnal. Loved everything about Returnal. Loved that it was on PC, which stings a little bit because this is rumored to stay on PS5. But most of my questions, I think, are going to be about how did the game feel on a controller, but also looking at this footage, the beginning here, it looks so much like 79 Alien, like the terminal kind of listing out everything. Is that the energy in the game? I mean, you've even got some like creepy Geiger-esque looking geometry, again, very Returnal. What's the deal with this game, Bruce? It looks awesome.
Okay, so we got a really, I guess it was quick, but sort of in detail in the sense that we got the art design, the art director telling us about all the stuff that you're describing. So we could talk about the aesthetic first, because the aesthetic is super cool. And like you said, I think you've hit the nail on the head. The architecture is massive. It's meant to be this like these huge temples with these really straight angular lines. But then the rest of it is meant to sort of the corruption, which I'll get to in a second. The corruption of the eclipse. Of course, there's always corruption in the video game.
You love corruption, yeah.
Oh, man, I love it. It's in every video game. The corruption of the eclipse adds a bunch of like sort of organic poisonous materials like tentacles, and the monsters that you see, the things that you shoot, are kind of cyborgy. They have those angular lines. They look like machines. But then also they get corrupted by the again the tentacles and the alien-like being really that has taken over this planet. It's the planet's called Carcosa.
Yeah, what's the? I assume, how similar is it to the setup of Returnal, where you're a protagonist, maybe amnesiac, but you as the player have very little context about who the characters are and what they're doing there? Is that revealed in a more direct way? Because Returnal was very kind of impressionistic, kind of reminiscent of Annihilation, where you have it's weird space, reality starting to bend and break, and in the middle of that you have these flashes that are representative of memories or perhaps literal memories. But you as the player not quite sure what's real and what isn't, and you have to kind of piece together through context clues what led to this and what sort of baggage the main character is bringing into the experience. Are we looking at the same setup here?
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, because when I watched Saros for the first time, I was watching the trailers and things like that before I played it. I was like, boy, this seems so much like Returnal. Even the setup seems like it. And I don't think the trailers are doing it justice. So when you actually do start the game, you are our friend, Rahul Kohli, but also his name is Arjun. The character's name is Arjun. And Arjun really does actually have like a setup to this. They are going to this planet Carcosa to mine something valuable. There's an element there that this Soltari corporation is out there to get. And of course, yeah, right, there's a giant corporation. They work for the giant corporation. They're going to Carcosa. But there have been a couple of echelons or expeditions that have gone to Carcosa, and they've lost them. They don't know what happened to them. And so Arjun is, I believe, on the 4th expedition to Carcosa to get this element, and everyone's wondering, well, why are people going mad? What's happening? And the game does a pretty good job of establishing that outright. What's happening? Like, you don't know why he keeps coming back. I don't think they really explained, at least in the first 3 hours that I played. I could hypothesize, but I don't really want to. Why he keeps coming back when he dies, but he keeps coming back to the same base. They have a base of operations that Arjun and all of his compatriots are at, where they, conceivably go out and can mine that element they need from Carcosa. But people at that base are going crazy, and they don't know why. They're trying to figure it out. There's a lot of sun imagery. You hear them talking a lot about the sun. And then, of course, there's an eclipse that happens on Carcosa. And so you could sort of start, connecting the dots there as to why people are going crazy, what it's doing to their brains, what it's doing to all the people and all the creatures and everything on Carcosa when that eclipse hits. But you don't know how long it lasts, and you don't know why, when you play the game, you trigger that eclipse. So these are the mysteries you're supposed to discover as you play the game.
So the eclipse is a game mechanic. The eclipse will actually happen during the course of play, and you have to adjust. Well, what does it does it like drive all the enemies berserk, or what happens when an eclipse hits?
Okay, so getting into game mechanics, because this is a game mechanics thing. The eclipse it turns everything yellow, of course. Everything gets a little, like there's lots of really harsh shadows, and it makes everything look really cool. But Arjun walks up to a switch and like flips the switch, and then it like either shows an eclipse in his head or on the planet. We're not really sure. But because to me, I was like, is that in his head? I was again, I don't want to hypothesize. Either way, the eclipse happens, and then it corrupts all of the enemies, and they shoot yellow balls at you rather than blue. And so the blue balls are the ones that you can actually use your shield to absorb. But then if you try and use your shield against the yellow balls, you will get corrupted. And it'll lower your health bar as you get corrupted by the eclipse-ridden creatures. And so that's the game mechanic that you probably see, occasionally you'll see in the gameplay is like, he'll pull open this shield that's blue, and it's this like orb, and that'll absorb the blue projectiles. You can use those blue projectiles to then fire off an ultimate. But if it's yellow, you gotta be careful. You have to actually dodge them, and you shouldn't absorb them because it'll kill you very, very fast.
Okay, I'm reminded of a lot of shoot 'em ups, I guess, particularly Ikaruga, that has like a bullet color mechanic. Is the idea? Did you see in your play that there are maybe bosses or enemies that just fire these massive patterns of bullets that maybe have one blue spot for you to get through, like one safe path to carve through?
Oh, you've nailed it, Lawrence. I know you didn't get to watch all 4 hours of my gameplay, but that is exactly what is in the gameplay. There is a boss that will fire like patterns of yellow and blue, and then you have to stand in the blue, right, to absorb them. Or if you're in the yellow, you can get hit. You can absorb a few shots here and there, but you shouldn't do it very much. There are 2 bosses that I got through. The first boss I had a pretty hard time getting through because I was like doing a lot of experimenting and learning the mechanics and things like that. Lawrence, I'm proud to say the second boss I blew right through. I absolutely smashed him first try.
That's our gamer.
Yeah, and that first boss, I died quite a bit on him because I was like, well, I'm going to try a new weapon, try his different attack patterns. He's a pretty hard skill check. The second boss, toward the end of the gameplay, it's sort of in an underground lair kind of thing with like lots of pipes and pistons and things like that. And he's got a super cool attack patterns that I easily beat. No, it's because I had a really good gun too. So there, you've nailed it on the what they called Housemarque called it the bullet ballet, and I love that term because it absolutely is a bullet ballet where you're like dodging and using your shield and jumping over them and shooting at all at the same time. It is totally a ballet.
I guess we didn't even talk about the basic structure of the game, but I think at a glance, and especially if you played Returnal, it seems very similar. Where you start your run. Are the levels still sort of randomly generated? You have these like rooms that are bolted together at intersection points, and you go through a particular level trying to upgrade your guns or upgrade your health bar or whatever. And then eventually you find a boss room, fight the boss, and then move to the next stage that has sort of a different tile set, a different look.
This is good that you've asked because the thing, again, that Housemarque told us was this Returnal was, in my opinion, very hard in the sense that if you played an hour and a half or whatever and you died, you started over. I think there were certain checkpoints, like after the third boss or whatever in Returnal, you could start from the third boss rather than having to play through the first hour and a half or whatever it was, however long it took you. Saros is not like that. Thank God. Saros is, it puts you into a level. If you are able to fight through the first, like, let's say 5 to 10 minutes of the level, then everything becomes corrupted. And in that level, the corruption, again, is harder on you. But if you find the key to the boss gate, you can open up the boss gate, go attempt the boss. You probably die at the boss, probably. Who knows if you're a gamer or not. And if you die at the boss, it'll send you back. And the level is, there are only a couple of different variations of the level. It's not procedurally generated at all. It's actually made, Housemarque was very clear. They were like, we made these levels and we made them different, but you probably see the same one once or twice. I like that. I got used to it. I did not like the procedural generation of Returnal. That was not my thing. And in Saros, you start to know the level, and I appreciated that. And also, runs are only about 30 minutes long, so they're not like if you wanted to, and let's say you've unlocked the boss already, you could run straight to the boss in 10 minutes. Get to the boss in 10 minutes time, attempt the boss. If you die, all right, well, you got to start over. Or if you beat the boss, great, you move on. Each level you assume is probably about 30 minutes long. And I was a big fan of that because I didn't lose so much progress. Each level, let's say you went through, you'd already unlocked the boss gate, you got a good weapon, and you went and attempted the boss and you died. You could go back and be like, you know what, I might try and upgrade, one of my perks, or I might try and upgrade my ultimate versus the gun that I picked up. There's random generation to what you're picking up. And also another very important point about Saros, there's a skill tree.
Wow.
There are persistent unlocks. Yeah, so it's a roguelite more so than Returnal was. And that skill tree then allows you to get more health, more shield. You probably will pick up better weapons as you unlock that skill tree along the way. It felt so much more like a game that I would be willing to sit down and play for a couple hours versus Returnal. If I died, I would be like, that's it, and I would just never come back to it. Saros was not like that at all.
Yeah, loads of tension in Returnal. I think the counterpoint is that it had a lot of replay value. That Diablo sensibility where you can just kind of keep going at it while also being just blisteringly difficult. Do you feel like there might be a problem? Well, not necessarily a problem, but if there's maybe 3 to 4 variations of any given level in Saros, if you've run the game a couple times, and it sounds like you can do it pretty quickly, skill dependent, of course. Do you think you'll just see everything there is to see in the game pretty quickly, or is there still enough that's fresh from run to run that makes it feel like a new experience?
Let me put it this way. I played 2 sections with 2 bosses, and it took me 3.5 hours. And the reason is because that first boss was difficult. And so you might die a couple of times on the boss and be willing to go back and try it over and over again. So that I felt like the game respected my time more that way. So if you are the ultimate god gamer like you are, Lawrence,
sure,
then you might get through the game in like what? Who knows how? I really don't know how long the game is. I don't know how many levels there are. So it could be 6 hours, it could be 10. I don't know. But as time goes on, the real replay value for me was finding new weapons, because I was finding like awesome, like fucking badass. There's a smart rifle, and the smart rifle allowed you could just fire almost wherever you wanted to, and the bullets would home in. And so if I found the right level of smart rifle, I just felt like a fucking god. Like I could just blow through, dodge things, shoot things. It felt great. Other people obviously are going to key into hand cannons or assault rifles or things like that that they'll enjoy. But that was something that I very much enjoyed, was the smart rifle. And that's where the replay value for me was even though I would die at that boss over and over, and I was like started getting frustrated, I would learning his attack pattern and things like that. If I picked up that right weapon, I felt like a badass walking into that boss battle and being like, okay, feel like I got it this time. And that didn't bother me at all. And then, like I said, once I had that weapon, oh man, moving on to the second level, oh, it felt so good. It felt so good. I was like, well, I'm super overpowered now. Nothing stops me, right? I was right, by the way. But who knows what they'll throw at you.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the smart rifle, because just seeing general gameplay, it looks like there's a extremely generous auto aim with the controller, which addresses a concern I had, because Returnal was such a difficult game and required such precision that it didn't feel right on a PS5. I got very frustrated playing Returnal on a controller, because I felt like I couldn't look around as fast as the game seemed to think that I should be able to, and certainly couldn't hit these precision shots that the game seemed to expect me to be able to hit. So it seems like this game, unfortunately, by the kinds of games that I like, has made some concessions for being on a controller, but I think this will make it a lot more playable. Was that your experience?
You are exactly right. That was another thing that Housemarque, they said over and over they were trying to make this game more approachable for everybody. And I was like, thank God. That felt good for me. And you're right about there is an auto aim already. So I'm talking about the smart rifle. Even that smart rifle really gave you free reign to, again, almost shoot wherever you want. But if you had a hand cannon or whatever, it would snap. It would snap pretty liberally, and I very much appreciated that. And again, if you picked up the right weapon that did a lot of damage, you could down enemies in 1 or 2 shots. If your aim was in the right spot. And I was playing obviously on controller because this is on PS5. And I am not a controller god like you are, Lawrence. So to me, that was like something that was like, oh, I was like, oh, whew, whew. I'm so glad that they gave me a little help. And reports are that this game's probably not going to be on PC. I don't know that we're ever going to get to play it on mouse and keyboard. So I
guess they didn't address that at the preview event at all.
No, they did not. But yeah, the reports are is that this is only going to be on PS5, and I didn't hate it on controller. I started actually to feel like I knew what I was doing because of that auto aim. That really helped.
Yeah, when I'm looking at it now and seeing the snap like you described, it does seem more like it's more about the broader decision making of a given encounter versus the tactile skill involved with dodging bullets and shooting the right enemies, which is cool and all. But do you feel like there might be a lower skill cap to the game because of that?
I don't ever think about that kind of stuff because I'm always like, I want to consume this content. I want to play the game, and I don't want the game to punish me. But I will say, it does reward you for playing. You can play into levels that you've already unlocked the boss gate. You can play into those levels that are corrupted and make it really hard on yourself if you want. You'll probably find better weapons along the way and like sort of beef yourself up. But if you wanted to, you could do that. You wouldn't be forced to fight the boss. You could just go through the level and do it again where everything is corrupted and make it very, very hard. You should get some gameplay rewards, but I don't know that. And I'm sure there'll obviously be like trophies and things like that you can get if you really want to make it hard on yourself. I didn't think the game was very easy to begin with.
Okay.
So it didn't feel easy. It really did not to me. Again, I know that every single person in the comments is a god gamer. And everyone's going to do it first try every time. But I think you'll probably die a couple of times to most bosses.
Okay, well, for a masochistic gamer like me, that's somewhat promising. I guess I am just so into the sort of Doom Eternal style game where they give you a framework and then what they ask of you goes so high, but they also give you the tools and the mechanics to be able to match it or learn it if that's your thing. I think I'm not just before I accidentally trip into people misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm not saying every game should be that, and I think ideally even the games that are like that should still be able to offer an experience that's accessible to everybody. So I'm not trying to be exclusionary about it, but I do really appreciate the games that are tuned in such a way that the sky's the limit in terms of how good you can be or your understanding of the game and how that can be celebrated. So Returnal was definitely one of those games. To that point, looking at the UI and watching some of your gameplay, I'm not seeing items. Like Returnal had a pretty interesting item economy, especially related to sort of the risk and reward of exploring different rooms that you didn't necessarily need to go into. The idea being that like you could kill extra enemies, upgrade your adrenaline, which it looks like this game has. But yeah, is there an item economy at all? Do you go to shops? Do you buy items that enhance you or give you buffs or anything?
I think what you're thinking of are the pickups, and there are actually lots of different pickups along the way. There are lots of different little shrines. You see these they look like little rectangles. They're light up rectangles as you walk around the stages, and a lot of them have they need keys, and you have to pick up a key to unlock those rectangles. And those rectangles do have items. So they have guns. They have like different shields, different like sort of ways that build your adrenaline faster, or they also have a different ultimate ability that will allow your ultimate to either fire off or it'll be stronger, or like has more explosive radius, that sort of thing. And then I think maybe the rest of what you're talking about is caught up in the skill tree, because the skill tree then there is like a currency that you pick up along the way as you're playing, Lucenite, which is I think the element that the Soltari Corporation is looking for, and then you trade that in to that skill tree in between levels, and that skill tree then should unlock, like I said, better health, better shields, probably quicker adrenaline, that sort of thing, better items. So I think what you're looking for in Returnal's drops were covered over a couple of different game mechanics in Saros.
And yeah, I to hear you describe it, those game mechanics are individually a lot kinder to the player and persistent.
Yes, they are
the big thing.
Yeah. The skill tree being persistent was a huge deal for me. When I heard them say that, when I was listening to them before we played it, I was like, "Whoo, thank you." Yeah, that's like what I want. Like I'm not looking for the. I really am not looking for the just get smashed after 2 hours and be like, well, I'm gonna go back. I guess I'm gonna start over.
Go back with nothing but my mind and my can-do spirit. Yeah,
exactly.
How does the game sound? Because Returnal's audio was really incredible. Just the like crunchiest, warbliest kind of alien-sounding synths. All the guns sounded really cool and unique. Even the dashes and especially the voice acting. I mean, I've heard Rahul Kohli as Arjun in the trailer, and that sounded amazing. He had a lot of intensity.
But after every death, I always come back stronger.
I have no idea what that intensity means because I don't know what the story's about. But I'm excited to dive into it. And even if it's not as like literally buttoned up as a narrative, because like I said, Returnal's narrative was still really fuzzy. I'm still really excited to hear all the performances in the game.
Yeah, no, you're going to get all the exact same sound design you got in Returnal, but maybe even better. You're right about Returnal's music and sound effects were awesome, and this is right on par. Housemarque has leveled up. I think even with all the different performances you're going to get, Rahul is like a super angry dude.
Arjun's he has a lot of sitting on a lot of rage.
Yeah, and Arjun is also kind of one of the only guys that's not getting, well, maybe not getting corrupted by the eclipse. Other people other people are
reliable narrator. You don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Other people are getting like overwhelmed immediately by the eclipse and they just go crazy. And Arjun's like, no, we're not going to do that. I'm going out there. I'm going to get what we need, and nothing's going to fuck with me. But then he also gets like bombarded by different memories of who I wasn't sure if it was his sister or if it was like a lover or what. But he's getting
feminine imagery, and even the loading screen, how it's like the entire game is yellow, the loading screen is blue, and you see like a wispy dress on a cliff precipice, it looks like. So it seems like they're teeing up some kind of like feminine loss in his life.
I think the performances in this game are a little more front and center than they were in Returnal. Obviously Celine was awesome, but I don't remember if there were too many there were like an ensemble cast. There's an ensemble cast in this, and you're gonna bump into a lot of them and end up talking about where they came from and why they're out there with Soltari and things like that. And so it's just really fun to see. I mean, it's always fun to see Rahul doing what he does best. So that was really exciting for me, and I think probably for you personally. We're biased though, so.
Yeah, I mean, I've certainly heard Rahul scream a lot in Bolt Gun, but it'll be interesting to, because it's definitely a different. I mean, he's a great actor, so he can channel a lot of different kinds of anger. So I'm excited to hear what he's got, and I'm just excited to learn about the character, because they were so metaphorical, I guess, even allegorical, if you want to use bigger literary words in Returnal. So I'm excited to see what they have here. Although it kind of like you were saying, there's normal cutscenes with normal people talking normally sometimes. So it seems like even they've made the plot a little more accessible and understandable.
Yeah, Housemarque even said something really interesting to me, because they were like, there are some people that don't care about the story. And we also were like, they said we don't want the story to get in the way for those people. And I was like, oh, I kind of like that. For me, since I'm biased and I want to see what Rahul is going to do, I was, consuming every bit of lore I could find, because I was curious to see what his character was doing. But if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. You could just play through the levels, blast through the bosses, and enjoy the game, because Housemarque, this is what they're best at. And they've really, I want to say, refined the formula, even after Returnal. And Returnal is a masterful video game.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm just so pleased that when PlayStation bought Housemarque, I was worried that they were going to be relegated to doing like tech support on porting The Last of Us 18 million times. So I'm glad that they're still being given the leash to like make these kinds of games, even if it seems like there are some alterations to make the game a little friendlier and also playable on a controller. But I can accept that. as long as they're still doing what they do best. Well, this is always a fun question to ask. What surprised you the most in your time with Saros?
I want to say that the fact that it was a roguelite and not a roguelike, because a lot of people are making the Returnal comparison, and to me it looked very similar to Returnal. So I was like, I don't really want to do 2 hours again. And as soon as they were like, there's a skill tree and there are persistent unlocks, I was like, I've said it over and over in this video many times, but I can't tell you how excited I was. And it was something that I was like, well, this will bring me back to the game. This will bring me back. Whereas Returnal, I was like, I know what it is. I liked it. I'm not coming back. Saros will bring me back. I'll attempt a few boss runs because I know that they're not in vain. And so that's what surprised me the most about this. And I was like, that's really cool that Housemarque, I don't know if they were listening to people when they did that or if they just decided to swing that way on Saros versus Returnal, but they did, and it surprised me.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess Returnal probably didn't sell as much as they would have liked. I mean, this is kind of an ongoing story with Housemarque as they make the exceptional version of a game nobody wants to play, and it doesn't sell well. It was the same thing with Nex Machina. They made a twin stick shooter that was long, like bespoke levels, incredible music, great graphics. Nobody played it. I even remember somebody at Housemarque after Nex Machina came out and didn't sell. They were basically like, we can't do this anymore. We're sorry, we tried, but that's it. Like we gave it our best shot to keep like the classic arcade sensibility alive in these games and to scale them up, and people just aren't having it. So it seems like it's just another kind of progression in that tale where they're trying their best to make this capital G gamer-ass game. But yes, you have to be a little kind to your players sometimes, especially if you want them to buy it and have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. I really do think they've nailed it, and they've made this formula even easier to play. And I'm not going to say that the game is easier, but I will say that the formula feels easier. So, and I also, Lawrence, want to very quickly disclose they did pay for my trip to Finland to Housemarque, and they also sponsored me for another video that's on my channel. They didn't sponsor me for this video. We just wanted to talk about Saros on Inside Games. So this was not a sponsored video at all. This was just because both Lawrence and I are excited for this game. This is one of the very few PlayStation exclusives, too, that I don't know that you'll ever get anywhere else. I think it's only going to be on PS5. So it's like this, Wolverine, and then, GTA is not exclusive, but this Wolverine and GTA are what you're playing on PlayStation. And Saros really does feel like an amazing AAA game on the PlayStation.
Damn, I can't wait. I can't wait. And yeah, before that sounds too luxurious, your travel to and from Finland was far from relaxing.
It was, boy, oh boy, it was a nightmare. That was not because of Housemarque. That was because of the airlines. So it was a real nightmare. And I was there. I was in Finland for 36 hours. Being in Finland at Housemarque was terrific. Everybody was so excited. They did a little tour of the studio, all the games that you're talking about. They're like, we made this game, we made Returnal, we made, like you said, what was it, Super Stardust, and it was fun to see. And clearly, the people at Housemarque are very excited to show us Saros. So that was the best part of my trip.
Damn, well, I'm excited too. Thank you for making the trip. Thank you for gabbing Saros, and thank you, viewer, for watching Inside Games. We love previewing games. We love talking about games. We're excited to do it in the future. So look forward to Saros. When is it coming out, Bruce?
It's looking like Saros is going to be coming out in just about a month, April 30th, Lawrence. So settle in because you're going to get a lot of angry Rahul.
I can't wait. Every time he screams, my balls jiggle a little.